Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Living Large Las Vegas. My name is Kobe Sherlock, and today, back in the lab, Mr. Derek Parent. Derek, say hello to everyone.
Hello, hello.
Guys, today we have a really special guest, somebody that we are absolutely thrilled to introduce you to, and listeners, you're in for a special treat. Today we have Mr. Dan Palmeri from Cushman Wakefield. Dan, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Guys, before we dive in, Dan, can you give a little bit of background about yourself so that the listeners know what we're up to?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Let's see here. Father of one, husband of one. Grew up in Southern California in Calabasas, born and raised in the restaurant business. My father's immigrant from Sicily, and my mother grew up in L.A. and reeled them in. The middle of two boys, and been in Vegas now for, what year is it, 2020? So we're going on 18 years in Las Vegas, basically my whole adult life. Loved the restaurant business, but knew that's not what I wanted to do my whole life, and got into commercial real estate. And timing was perfect, just in time for the recession. So ended up working two jobs for 6 years until the market took a turn, and it's been gravy ever since. So big proponent of Vegas and enjoying life.
Man, Dan, thanks so much for sharing. And I know a couple of things about the restaurant industry, but before we dive in together, how did you meet this guy? How do you guys know each other?
Jimmy the Barber.
Jimmy the Barber, he cuts our hair.
Yeah, same guy. Jimmy the Barber could probably put this town under if he gave away his therapy sessions.
Yeah.
But great guy. And we were at a Golden Knights hockey game one night, and we hooked up and met Derek, and DP and DP. It was meant to be.
Love it. Love it first sight.
Yeah,
that's our next TV show. DP and DP.
Well, it's funny because I was getting my haircut Saturday, and I called Dan. I'm like, Dan, when are you gonna get on the podcast? And Saturday we confirmed today, and he's one of my favorite people. He's so funny. I love his social media stuff, his presence. He's so outgoing, like he's the man. I love Dan Palmeri. He's probably the best commercial guy that I know, and I send him anytime someone calls me commercial, I send him to Dan.
I'll pay you later.
We'll be looking for this. Well, man, for Living Large Las Vegas, we always love to, really just discuss the different impacts we have in the community, but you have a special perspective from the commercial side.
Yeah.
So I guess first, tell me how you got into commercial. What's that been like?
Yeah. So again, going back to the restaurant business, my dad put me to work at 13. Literally 2 days after I turned 13 years old, I told him I wanted to start working. So he took me down to the department store, got me a suit and tie, and put me to work. In Southern California, I had a restaurant there for 20 years, and I thought that was just going to be a temporary thing. Little did I know that was my entry into the professional world. So living here, once he had opened up a restaurant here in Vegas, was just serving tables and knew that I could either take over the restaurant one day or find a job that provided me weekends and holidays off, which sounded really appealing. And some of our customers that kept coming in were these guys in their mid-30s, drinking good wine, having good dinners, and talking about going to Newport Beach and on vacation all the time. And so I asked them what they did, and the answer was commercial real estate. So I said, I got to get into that. So that was kind of my pathway into it. Put in the time, got my real estate license, and found a good mentor, and the rest is history. Yeah.
I mean, you said mentor. What's that? Can you tell us kind of the importance of the mentor relationship in your industry, but more importantly, just for your professional life? Yeah,
absolutely. So, commercial real estate, unlike law or, architecture or being a doctor or something of that sort, there's not really a clear path into commercial real estate. So, I talk to folks that do what I do around the country, and everyone has a different story about how they got into it. And ultimately, you have to find a mentor, somebody that's been doing it for years and has not only the wherewithal to take on a junior, but a book of business to be able to teach them the process of it. And then, commercial real estate as a whole is such a big industry that we all, if you're really good at Excel, you really got to specialize, whether it be office, industrial, retail, multifamily. If you run into somebody that's kind of doing all of it, especially in a bigger market, if you're in smaller markets, I got a buddy in Fargo, North Dakota, he's got to do it all, right? Because it's not a big enough market. But yeah, here in Vegas or LA, Chicago, New York, Phoenix, etc., you really got to be specialized in a certain niche. And so I don't mess with retail deals that often. I don't really mess with industrial deals. I give those to our retail and office specialists because that's what they do best. So yeah, that's how I got into it. And growing up with good work ethic, and my dad just, there was no days off. When my friends were going to Big Bear and Mammoth on the weekends and I was pleading and begging, he would say, "Are you crazy? We have like 300 reservations." And that was the answer. So the answer was always no. So yeah, getting into it, like I said, worked 2 jobs for 6 years, and I just, realized that I had to put in the time, effort, and energy to build up my expertise and my knowledge and my know-how to take it to the next level. And so that's kind of how it went down.
It's funny because we're thinking the same thing. He says mentor, and you ask him, you go right for the mentor. So what is your specialty in the commercial?
Yeah, so I'm very niche, especially here in Las Vegas. So I specialize in office tenant representation. So I essentially take no listings, which, everybody wants to control the property. And I actually don't like doing that. I think landlords, they want biweekly reporting, and you got to show up, in a moment's notice to go show a space, and you'll have to show a space 10 times to hopefully get a deal done. And I'm totally opposite. So my job is to represent tenants of space, and, I understand what their needs are. We go and look at multiple properties, and then I negotiate on their behalf, essentially beating up the landlord as much as possible to look out for the tenant, lowest rent possible, most tenant improvements. And above and beyond that, it's talking about protections in the way of, what are the annual escalations? What are their audit rights? Are their termination rights? There's so many clauses that people don't think about when entering into a lease. And then on top of that, the landlord typically pays my commission. When they take a listing, they have a listing broker, and there's 2, just like residential, there's kind of two commission setups. One is if you do both sides of the deal, and one is if there's an outside representation. So, we're considered that outside representation, but I run into people all the time, right? Where, "Hey, can you help me? I just signed my lease." And I'm like, "I'd love to help you, but we got to talk when that thing's coming up for expiration." And it's crazy to me to see how many companies don't use representation or aren't aware of it. And I always say the biggest companies in the world, they do, and you should probably pay attention as to why they're using it. Again, my job is to look out for the little guy. So I really enjoy that. And it's, I think, a lot more entrepreneurial than being on the listing side. So, but what's crazy in Vegas is we're essentially the only tenant rep team here in town. In other markets, there's dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of them. But Vegas is such a small market and a hard barrier to entry into the business that, we've been able to really carve out a good niche.
So if someone signs a 5-year lease, when's a good time for them to start talking to you?
Yeah. So, we usually say, no later than 18 months, ideally 24 months. And that's typically a little bit early, but you at least want to start having the conversation and exploring the market. Today's actually a little bit different because Vegas is starting to see new development again for the first time in, over 10 years.
Yeah.
The new development really wasn't happening during the recession. And then all those vacancies had to fill up. And now you've got new development on the pipeline. And those are 2 years out from being completed. So, in 2 years, you're going to call me and be like, "Why aren't I in the cool, hot spot? Why didn't you tell me about this?" Well, we had to sign a deal 2 years ago to get you in the cool, hot spot. Yeah. So, yeah, it's really, at least 2 years out. We get people all the time that call me, "Hey, I got a month before, I got to get my deal done." Typical negotiation time takes, 1 to 3 months to get a deal done from start to finish, if not longer. And then if you need build out, add 3 to 4 months to that. And it's a long process.
Yeah, because you have a copy of my lease. So when I originally signed it, so we're 3 years into it now. That's when we met about 3 years ago. And so now you have a copy of it. Dan's way he said, he goes, I want to he beats the landlords up. He wants to go in there and just, and get you the best deal possible, and, get you more parking spots than what they want. Because they don't really want to give you much when you first sign the lease. Like when we signed here, like I didn't really have representation. I just had someone that thought they knew what they were doing. It was someone in our company that deals with the commercial side. But I think we could have did a lot better, right?
We could have used a balcony.
You could have used a balcony. But ultimately, right, like, so when I do deals out of market, I use a local, specialist expert in that market. I'm dialed into the Vegas market. I know the landlords. I know the deals. We're trading paper with these buildings all the time. I know the processes, but if I'm doing a deal in San Francisco or LA or Phoenix, I bring in that local expert because they have those relationships, right? But yeah, 100%. When we first talked, I was like, dude, you kind of got taken advantage of there, right?
Thank you.
And at the end of the day, your second biggest line item is your real estate behind your payroll. You know, and then you got marketing and whatnot. But if I can save you thousands of dollars a month, that's a huge difference. That's going back into your business. Some companies, the bigger the space, I mean, we've saved companies hundreds of thousands of dollars over the life of a lease. And it's literally by knowing what to ask for, knowing what's market. And the landlords, you know, while I beat them up, you know, quote unquote, they like doing business with me. Landlords actually like having a tenant with representation because it's easier for them to get a deal done.
Probably a little bit more smooth at that point, huh?
Yeah.
Smoother transaction.
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking about the market, and you've spoken to new development, and something we always, you know, discuss here in this room with some of the industry leaders is kind of how Vegas is shaping up now, and what the landscape looks like now compared to 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So knowing, you know, being from Calabasas, knowing about what's coming from California, what does that look like? How's that that transplant from California really shaping up in the market here in Vegas?
Yeah, we're really seeing a drastic shift, right? I mean, Vegas is still a very small community. I always tell people, if you know the right 5 people, that's all you need to know in Vegas, you know? And if you need to talk to the governor or your senator or your representative, you actually, you know, they want to listen. But no, we've helped a lot of companies relocate here from California, not only the companies, but then help employees move here. And, you know, I was actually talking with a friend I grew up with the other day. She had sent out a message on Facebook like, hey, we're looking to leave California. Any suggestions? And people are, throwing ideas left and right. I said, there's only one answer, you know, it's Vegas. And I think you guys can agree it's the best kept secret, right?
Yeah.
From a cost of living standpoint, from a transportation standpoint, from the ability to get around town in 20 minutes, from, you know, having the strip at your disposal. If you do want to go down there and do something fun, there's always something to do. The cost of real estate. I mean, we're working with 6 companies right now that are over 30,000 square feet that are looking to move here that aren't in the market. And a lot of them are from, you know, one's from San Francisco, one's from New York, one's from LA. And we're a discount for them, right? So not only are we a discount from a real estate standpoint, but then they can pay their employees the same amount, and the employees are getting a 13-14% raise just by making that move. And they can afford to live here, and their commute went from an hour to 15 minutes. And they can't comprehend, your employees won't want to drive there because it's 3 more exits. It adds 8 minutes to their commute, and they're like, what are you talking about? Like, once you move here, you'll understand, you know?
Yeah, it's funny, I seen it. This town has been amazing in so many ways. When you go on vacation, you know, like sometimes when I do, I compare stuff that I can't do when I'm on vacation. You know, like you want to be to the beach, you can jump on a flight.
Yeah.
You're in an hour, or you can drive 3 hours.
Yeah.
You want to go skiing, you can fly up to Reno and go to Heavenly, and you're there in an hour.
We're going to Bryan Head this weekend. It's a 3-hour drive door to door, you know, and Big Bear and Mammoth and Salt Lake City and everywhere else. You know, it's crazy.
Man, the extremities that we can reach here. I was telling somebody the other day, we can hop on a jet ski at Lake Mead, jet ski in the morning, hop in the car, and go snowboarding in the afternoon if you want to.
Yeah.
That's how wild it is and how close things are here for us to enjoy.
Yeah, it's really just a fantastic place, you know, and again, I think the ability to get around so easily. And, you know, I think what's different is what we're really going to see over the next couple of years is because of sports, right? The NHL with the Golden Knights and now the Raiders, other markets and people are actually looking at us as a legitimate city now versus, you know, the Strip, and it's changing the dynamic.
For many years, it was just, you know, people thought we all lived on the Strip. You know, I moved there 20 years ago, and that's exactly what they thought. Like because you watch HBO, you know, fights, and they just show the Strip. They don't see all the amazing things that we get to do out here. So, you know, it's amazing.
Well, I mean, so many of my clients, I pick them up at the airport and I drop them off at the airport, right? So I have them for 3 to 6 hours. And, you know, whenever they get in the car, I always ask, you ever been to Vegas? And they're like, oh, yeah, 10 times, 15 times. And then I follow it up with, have you ever been off the Strip? And they're like, no. You know, and that's the thing, especially when we go to conventions, you know, how do you live in Vegas? I used to say, well, you know, the Bellagio is like killer room rates if you live there for 6 months. And they're like, really? Like, no, I don't live at the Bellagio.
Not even close.
He's a funny guy.
I got buddies that, you know, from
funny guy.
Moved here.
Funny guy.
I only moved here about 4 years ago, man. And my friends from back home, they'll ask me like, oh yeah, we want to come to Vegas, and I'm like, hey, you should come out. We can do some cool stuff. They're like, oh, what casinos?
Right.
I mean, I don't even gamble, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the only thing to do here. The message is still the same. Like we have so much to offer.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing, you nailed it already. You said, you know the right 5 people, and I can really speak to that, is that this town does have that very small town feel in this large city.
Yeah.
So as we're attracting all, this new NFL city, right? As we're going to be with the Raiders, I went to a preview the other day for Vegas Chamber. They did an incredible job of kind of laying the map of what's coming, whether it's Elon Musk's company, building the tunnels to have the transport,
company,
the Boring Company,
Yeah.
or some of the new Resorts World and Circa downtown. They're speaking on all this stuff, and man, the playground for us is still the same. We're all connected in some sort of way. You're like one person from knowing the next person that you want to meet.
Well, on top of that, people don't realize the companies that are already here. We do Tesla's work locally. I mean, they've got over 1,000 employees here, and so you've got Tesla, you've got Google building a data center. We have Switch, which is an amazing, homegrown company that is kind of changed, connectivity on the entire West Coast, and they're international now, and they're in Italy, and they're in Michigan and Atlanta, and I mean, what's even bigger is everybody comes here once a year for these major conventions, whether it's CES or the SHOT Show or Concrete, SEMA, you name it. Everybody touches the city typically once every 1 or 2 years.
There was over 50 million people that came last year, right?
Through the airport.
Yeah, just through the airport, over 50 million, and they were only expecting like 43 million.
Yeah.
The investments they're making into the convention centers too, and the new enhancement that they're putting on Caesars, and what they're doing to really welcome these crowds. That's how you respond as a city. That's the kind of city you want to be a part of.
Well, we've diversified away from gaming, right?
Yep.
It's the conventions, but on top of that, you've got all the shows, and now you've got all these rock stars that are doing their residencies here because they realize they can sell out Sunday through Sunday, right? My wife and I went and saw Gwen Stefani on a Wednesday last year. And it was sold out, right? Like they can't do that in other cities. And not only was it sold out, but it's hundreds of dollars a ticket. There's a reason why these big stars are coming here because they get put up in the biggest suites. They get to eat at whatever restaurant they want to, and they sell out night over night to a new audience. Like I go to other cities and I'll hop on StubHub or something to see what's going on. There's like 2 events, and then you do it here and you're literally scrolling for 10 minutes, right? And you're like, I don't even know what to do. There's too many things happening.
It happens all the time when I have family come into town. I'm like, we can do this, we can do that. They just don't sometimes understand. Like you literally have an endless list of things to do. It's more about just kind of picking the style that you want to enjoy.
100%. Yeah.
So Dan and his wife, they just you guys just bought a coffee shop.
Yeah, my wife bought a coffee shop. She's the boss, man. I'm here to support her. But it's been a goal of hers. She was actually business planning for over a year, and we were looking at a place downtown. And she had gone to a barista school up in Portland and followed that up with a convention in LA. And the guy that taught the school, approached her and said, hey, there's a lady here trying to sell her coffee shop right now in Henderson. And from within a month of having that conversation, she owned it. I think that just goes to being prepared, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she had all her ducks in a row. She knew exactly what she needed to do, was able to underwrite it quickly. Just so happens to be the closest coffee shop to the house. So, I mean, that worked out well. But, yeah, she's hustling her butt off. She's doing great. And, the coffee shop's awesome.
So my next question, did you beat the lease up?
I couldn't yet, right? It's so she assumed the lease. I got a little bit of time left on that thing. But it's actually a really good lease with good renewal options. Zen Coffee Bar, by the way, shameless plug right there, up in Henderson. But
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, my wife Abigail, owner and operator, and she's kicking butt. It's fun to see her in that kind of that sector. It reminds me a lot of the restaurant business. So I knew what she was getting into, and she grew up, working in restaurants, so she knew what she was getting into, and it's great because now our daughter gets to see that line of work and gets to go there after school and watch her mom kick butt, and so she's starting to get put to work a little bit. She's the smoothie master, so she's working behind the bar a little bit.
Kids enjoy it. They definitely think it's work, but they actually enjoy it at first. You guys wouldn't have gone into a coffee shop at this time if the market wasn't just right.
Well, totally right. Yeah, no, I think the economy is in the right place, and even in a bad economy, everyone's still buying their $4 and $5 coffees, right? That's their drug of choice, and I think the key thing is it's on the right side of the street, which means it's, on the side of the street for the morning commute and established business. She actually was able to pick it up for a pretty good price because the lady was fire selling it. So, got all the equipment, got the business, got everything for a really good price. And she's just getting real creative with her marketing and doing cool things. For her, it's all about being part of the community, right? It's you're never gonna put Starbucks out of business, but her ability to just connect with people in the neighborhood, right? Because that's the thing with the coffee shop. It's you got a very small circle of where people are going to be coming from, and she's going to connect with all these people. It's weird for me now because everywhere we go, kind of like you run into a million people, and now we're walking around the concourse at the hockey game, and she's saying hello to people. I'm like, what? What's good? You know that person? So she's getting her own little sphere of influence, which is awesome.
That's awesome. So back to the family restaurant, you guys, my favorite Italian restaurant is right there in Henderson. How's that going?
Yeah, going great. Super busy. So as you know, my father actually passed away a little over 5 months ago. Yeah. But my younger brother Nick is just crushing it. He had plenty of training. Basically, he got put to work at 12. So it's doing good. It's really busy. It's been consistent. It's been a staple in Henderson going on 18 years now. So.
Wow. Funny, my two daughters, Brooke and Mikhail, they loved going there. Just the hospitality of father with my daughters. It was such a gentle, kind man, and always loving. He always came to the table. Just one of probably the greatest guy. Just an amazing man. With that, everything you do is you live in Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
The coffee shop's Henderson. I mean, Henderson for us has been amazing. We had the police captain in here last week. He was on the podcast. Where do you see the next decade besides Henderson, but the growth in our town and state?
Yeah. Well, I think Vegas, right? So people think about the Strip, but if you look at it from an aerial standpoint, right, we're hitting the boundaries of the edge of town. We're hitting the mountains on all sides. Yeah. Henderson's running out of land, right? Especially with West Henderson really booming, where the Raiders practice facility is. A lot of industrial stuff happening. You got Haas out of Southern California, which is a big technology, automotive manufacturing company. They're going to make a huge impact. But I think Henderson in general is just a great residential community, right? So you got a lot of retail and multifamily and housing being built right now, with office trailing that. And then just community-wide, we're starting to see the dirt get filled in, right? Yep. And so I think over the next 10 years, we'll probably get to the point where we've kind of hit all the boundaries, and it's a question of, do we go over the mountain towards Sloan and Jean going south? And do we start to see some regentrification of kind of the core of Vegas, right? That's the thing, is we've really never seen that because we've always had land to build out and build the suburbs. But I think you're going to start seeing, downtown, see some new development and the core parts of town. I know we've seen a little of it in Chinatown, group 4 properties, assembled a bunch of stuff and built a really cool multifamily project. Yeah. Now they're building another one right next to the Rio. And I think also with the Strip, you're going to see a lot of change with Caesar selling to El Dorado and MGM peeling off some of their properties. We've traditionally only had 4 casino owners, and now we're going to have a multitude of them. So, residential's booming, industrial's booming, office is booming, retail's being built where the new development is happening. And then with that, I think we're going to see a lot more, house named big national and international companies setting up shop here, which will bring more talent in the way of people moving here. The UNLV School of Medicine is going to be a game changer for the community. And I think, so we're going to be a big technology push, a big medical push. And it's going to be cool to see the change. That's what I like about Vegas, is you actually have a hand in the change of the community, right? Where other cities have been developed for so long, you're just, a little change here, a little change there, but we're actually participating in the growth of a community.
Yeah, especially with residential, it was said probably about 10 years ago when they put in the Hoover Dam, the overpass, that White Plains area, they were thinking about putting houses there, as we expanded. So that was a place. And then, up just on where the Egyptian mine is, they're talking about, putting 5,000 residential homes there.
Yeah.
You can see, like the growth, right? Like you're right, we're running out of space. Like 10 years ago when they were putting the dam in, people were buying up all that land all the way down to Kingman, from White Plains to Kingman. Yeah. So they were thinking that would be the next boom for for real estate, and it's easy to commute. Like you said, it's 20 minutes to get anywhere. That was just one of those other the easy the commutes.
If anything changes, I think for the citizens, it's going to be that time a commute. You know, because I'm one that falls victim to it right now. I'm like, I can get anywhere in Vegas in 30 minutes. It's starting to creep. 30,
but even at that, like I was
talking,
my friend that I was talking to, right? You know, I said, hey, rush hour is getting a little crazy, but I'm still going 30 miles an hour.
That's right. You're still
and they're like, what? You know, that's not rush hour. And so, yeah, no, especially from when Derek and I moved here, I mean, there was nobody on the roads, especially the 215. I mean, it was like a ghost town. So
the 215 was 215 overpass light.
Right.
Now it's like the exits now, but at one point those weren't exits. They were exits, but you had to stop.
Yeah, they were building the overpasses.
They were building it. It's funny, and the 215, just one day you woke up and it was all the way out to Lone Mountain, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny, I was driving the 215 by Tropicana. They're expanding the 215, right? I mean,
well, yeah, they stay in front of it, right? I mean, it's a little bit of a headache for, you know, a 6-month period, but seeing the growth and the need to expand the freeway, I mean, they're on top of it, which is nice.
And I've been able to see, you know, Nashville kind of hit its boom that 2009, 2010, even through 2013, probably getting crushed with folks moving in, incredible businesses, Nissan, you know, putting big plants there. The infrastructure had a tough time adjusting. Yeah. And it wasn't that, you know, I won't take a shot at their leadership and say it wasn't that they weren't prepared or trying to adjust. It's just they didn't have any room, and there were just not much they could do to grow it. That wasn't the case here. You know, it's been able to strategically be amended as people are coming into the different space here in the desert. It's pretty cool.
Well, and the good thing is they designed the whole city on a grid, right? Yep. So half the time, like if I see traffic, I'll just take the surface streets, and it's quicker than hopping on the freeway. But yeah, no, I mean, it's very efficient, you know? Yeah.
One more thing before I wanted to hit this, because you spoke in the UNLV, Dan, and in education too, man. In Henderson, you know, we are, you know, seeing a growth in medicine. We're seeing a growth in technology here in Vegas, things that we've always wanted to improve. Yeah. The biggest, I'd say, you know, kind of dampening, you know, voice right now was our lack of education in the Valley.
Sure.
And we're seeing that change drastically too, with things like the UNLV School of Medicine, Nevada State opening up a brand new college of education out there in Henderson. What's been the experience for you in education, if any, here in the Valley?
Yeah, so I mean, my daughter's part of the public school system. You know, I think the hard thing is we're the 5th largest school system in the country, right? The school district. And so do we definitely have some schools that are struggling? Absolutely. And those numbers for those struggling schools kind of bring down our average. She's getting a phenomenal education. She's in 6th grade. She's doing algebra and, you know, knocking out Spanish. And, you know, I look back at what I was doing in 6th grade. I'm pretty sure I wasn't doing algebra at that point, right? And I grew up in California. So she's doing great, and our schools are fantastic. And if you don't want to be in public, we got plenty of private schools and magnet schools and charter schools and everything else. But on top of UNLV, you know, CSN, our community college, has near 100,000 students. You got Roseman University and Toro University focused on the medical side. You know, a bunch of you know, tech schools treating tradesmen and whatnot. And so, you know, if you want to get educated here, there's plenty of opportunities. It just doesn't have to be UNLV or Nevada State College, right? It's there, but again, you know, I think the hard part is when people do a search, you know, and look at school averages. Do our numbers fall near the bottom? They do. Is there always room for improvement? Sure, but I think that's a nationwide problem in regards to how you got to fix the education system. But yeah, we've been very happy with it.
Henderson is in the top schools in the country.
Yeah,
that's top areas in the country. So I mean,
so if you move into Vegas, Henderson, guys,
well,
because it's awesome.
But again, on top of that, I think so much of your kid's education is the parents actually taking ownership and you know, going over the homework with their kids and not just letting them learn what they learn in school and be like, oh yeah, they're getting educated. Like, you know, my daughter and I were going over Spanish numbers on Saturday, and you know, she got like 8 wrong, and so I said, cool, here's the 8, practice. I'll come back in an hour, and then we did them again. You know, it's you got to be actively involved in what your kids are doing at the end of the day.
Well, you're a very active father. It's funny. I love your day at the end is like the king of social media. I love it. It's so funny. A lot of great stuff. He just has socks with his face put on him.
I didn't do that. My assistant, we had a white elephant party at the house, and my assistant, Joanne, had socks made with my face put on them. So a couple of people got them stolen, and they were pissed. So she had a bunch more made, and they got them. So
that is going
cool.
on my to-do list.
But
Parents.
But only that is, so he's so funny. Is like he always does stuff to embarrass his daughter. Like I always see pictures of them. Like he's like, oh no, like he's just funny. He runs marathons constantly. He's doing
no marathons, 5Ks.
5Ks. Well, same thing.
They are not the same thing.
Anything more than stairs is a marathon.
Oh yeah, no,
anything more than walking downstairs.
No marathon. Yeah, no. My wife runs every day. So so last year we did at least a 5K a month, and yeah, she crushes. She is like so fast. I mean, she's either finishing first or second in every race she runs, and I'm just hoping to finish. So.
That's funny. I called him on Saturday. He was headed to the gym. He's working out, and he's staying in. He stays in shape. Great family man. He helps all of his clients out. He's just a great guy. He's one of those guys that you want to get to know. Like when Jimmy introduced us, it was like we became friends like that. He picked me up. We went to barbecue, hung out. We see each other at games together. Like if I want anyone to represent me on a commercial, Stan. He's the man. He's honestly the greatest guy to know in this town.
Dan, if somebody does want to reach out to you, what's the best way for our listeners to contact you?
Sure. Best way. So our team website is www.vegascre.com. On Twitter and Instagram, I'm just at Dan Palmeri. I think _ on Instagram. I honestly don't know. You could give me a call. My number is 702-688-6909. If I don't pick up, I'll call you back.
Man, Dan, I appreciate you coming. This has been a lot of fun, honestly. We love getting in the lab, and just your personality and who you are for us, man, I appreciate it. This has been really cool. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure, and I don't take compliments well, so hearing what Derek has to say is it's tough for me to listen to, but I appreciate it, my man.
Yeah, well, I think we both have the same personality. It's difficult, but you're truly like, I love being around your energy. I left the Golden Knight game early the other day, and he sends me an emoji.
Yes.
Funny emoji, but I don't want to say it because we're live.
Can't be leaving early, man.
You gotta be early.
You got to be there for the loss too, man. You can't just be there for the wins.
That's why.
Like, where you gotta go? Where you gotta go?
Throw me out.
Go Predators, guys.
Terrible.
Thank you so much for listening to Living Large Las Vegas. Hit up Dan Palmeri. He can help you, man. This has been a lot of fun. Derek, thanks again. And we'll be coming back to you guys live. Living Large, we're going to hit you on a live broadcast. Be listening out for some cool things that we have coming. Thanks again.
Thank you.